on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And I got to start with this. BlackRock and Ripple Partners Securitize says that Ripple is going to tokenize the world. You know, maybe this is why BlackRock never filed for a spot XRP ETF. Maybe it's more about bringing tokenized assets to the XRP ledger. But one thing I do know is once real world assets start coming on board the XRP ledger, it's going to quickly add up into the trillions. And as that's happening, XRP holders are not just going to get life-changing money, they are going to get financial freedom. Imagine trillions upon trillions of dollars in value coming on board to the XRP ledger. And the XRP ledger is built for tokenization. It seems that the SDNY, Department of Justice, has sold the Bitcoin that the Samurai devs paid them as part of their plea deal, even though Executive Order 14233 mandates that forfeited Bitcoin must be held in the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. And this wasn't the first time in the Samurai case that the SDNY acted in defiance of federal guidance. Everybody's pissed off about this right now. So they sold $6.3 million worth of Bitcoin, and all the Bitcoin maxis are pissed off right now, especially this one right here. Senator Cynthia Lummis, why is the U.S. government still liquidating Bitcoin when President Trump explicitly directed these assets be preserved for our strategic Bitcoin reserve? We can't afford to squander strategic assets while other nations are accumulating Bitcoin. I'm deeply concerned by this report. First of all these other countries are not accumulating Bitcoin. They keep saying we have to compete with China when acquiring Bitcoin. China is acquiring gold. These other countries are acquiring gold. And it is not a strategic asset, in my opinion. It's not a store of value, and it's not digital gold. Crypto czar David Sachs holds talks with senators to advance crypto market structure bill. More talks. We need action. We need something to get passed already. And this comes from Eleanor Tourette. Per the closing offer, documented, published by Politico, these 6 items appear to be outstanding issues senators were hashing out during today's meeting that was attended by a mix of 13 Dems and Republicans. Plus, David Sachs and Patrick Witt, it's unclear whether all of them were resolved. Though the volume of work left to do, comments I'm seeing from attendees suggest probably not yet. The one that stands out to me is this right here. Yield. Whenever they are battling over yield, that's the banks pushing that. They don't want you getting yield from stable coins at all. Because if you start earning yield, people will push way away from the banks even more. Because the banks don't even offer you 1% on a checking account or a savings account. Imagine taking the money from a checking or savings account, putting it into a stable coin, and collecting 4 to 6% yield. That's why they can't agree on that. Because the banks these politicians are in the pockets of the big banks. Wow. So that's most likely why this continues to be an issue in getting that market structure bill passed. I'm just tired of them talking about it. Get something done already. CNBC says XRP is the hottest crypto trade of this year. You know, I told you along the way, there will come a time when they cannot avoid talking about XRP. Take a listen.
Hottest crypto trade of the year is not Bitcoin. It is not Ether. It is XRP, the coin formerly known as Ripple, soaring more than 20% this year, becoming the third largest cryptocurrency out there. And there's big money behind this trade. Mackenzie Sagalos joins us now with that XRP trade and what, Mac, is driving all of this interest in XRP.
You know, XRP is going to continue to outperform the market because it's not just about, oh, people are buying XRP. It's about companies buying and then utilizing XRP. XRP has utility. Bitcoin has no utility. And ETH just sucks. The gas fees are insane with ETH. That's why companies are now looking past both of those cryptocurrencies and they're now focused on XRP. Once we see institutional adoption begin, watch how quick the narrative changes and the mainstream media news will continue to have to talk about this cryptocurrency. Ripple isn't rushing to go public, according to Monica Long. You know, every single day I see people saying the IPO is next. The IPO is going to happen next week. The IPO is going to happen next month. Well, this comes from Monica Long. Currently, we still plan to remain private. Often, the strategy driving an IPO is to get access to the investors and the liquidity. We are in a really healthy position to continue to fund and invest in our company's growth without going public. So once again, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Most likely, we're now looking at 2027 and beyond. I don't think it's going to happen within 2026. Expert call playing out perfectly. I hope you listened. Right now, everybody's talking about how they called the breakout. The same people are going to be trying to call the top on the way up. You don't want to fall for it this time around. Once XRP starts to go full parabolic, there's still going to be slight pullbacks happening. When I talk about no major pullback in 2026, I'm talking about a massive run-up, like a blow-off top for XRP, and then an 80 or 90% crash. I'm not seeing that happen this time around. I think XRP's utility is going to hold up the price. I think institutional adoption is going to hold up the price. And even the catalysts that we're still waiting for XRP, they're going to continue to play out all throughout this year as well. Even the guy with the 276 IQ is saying, as predicted, everybody wants to take credit for this breakout. I'm telling you, wait until you see XRP running up when it starts going into price discovery. The very first time it has the slightest pullback, people are going to say, take profit now. Then it's going to go higher. Another pullback, take profit now. Everybody wants to be that guy. I'm going to tell you this. When we start to see XRP really break out and we do get that to that first slight pullback, look around. Take a look at real world events that are happening. Take a look at the ETF inflows that are happening at the same time. Take a look at tokenization. That's going to be an issue in 2026 as well. And then you got to take a look at, is Ripple talking about more acquisitions along the way? Are banks starting to custody crypto now? Is XRP running on these rails now? There's so much you need to look at before you even considering taking profit on your XRP. And this comes from Barry C. And this is actually a really great post because it puts it into perspective. At $2 per XRP, people assume they'll always have access to cheap XRP. Remember, we're never going above $3 again. That's the narrative going around right now. At $3 per XRP, people won't be impressed when XRP reclaims $3. At $5 per XRP, People won't be interested. They'll say, only $5? Isn't XRP meant to change the financial landscape, and it's only $5? At $10 to $20 per XRP, people will feel a small voice in the back of their head saying, well, that's probably as high as it goes. You missed it, but at least it wasn't $100. At $100 per XRP, the FOMO mixed with frustration kicks in. People were led to believe this could never happen. So why is it happening? And now they have to pay 50 times more for the exact digital asset they could have accumulated at $2. At $1,000 per XRP, it won't be FOMO, it will be desperation. People will do what they can to own a small piece of the new financial system. At $10,000 per XRP, resignation, defeat, and desperation, people will realize how badly they fumbled XRP, how badly they fumbled the greatest wealth building opportunity of the lifetime. To the XRP holders, the army who accumulated and had the determination to hold, you will be rewarded. He's not wrong. That's how people will feel on the way up. But you're going to have so many people selling their entire bag at $10. You'll have more people selling their entire bag at $15, $20, expecting that major crash that everybody expects because of previous cycles. Previous cycles and history only repeats until it doesn't. And I think this is going to be the year that it doesn't. Because now, what's the narrative? Speculation is ending. Utility is now the new narrative. And it's not just a retail narrative anymore. Now you have institutions talking about real-world use cases and utility. But once we get to $100, people are going to be shocked by XRP because that was one price point that we will never see as XRP holders. Yet XRP is already built to be a 4-5-digit asset. I can't wait until the banks come out of the testing phase. I want to see what the price of XRP looks like when that happens. I want to see if we see a set price for XRP. Because right now, I think there's a lot of speculation around that. I know Black Swan Capitalists claims to have seen that price already. Others claim to have seen that price as well. But none of us know for sure until the banks come out of the testing phase. Will 2026 be the year it happens? We really don't know. But one thing is for sure, that liquidity crisis is still looming, and the banks are going to need something to solve that problem. And XRP is built to solve that problem. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.